So first and foremost, I'd like to thank Knime. I think they've done a fantastic job. I came here in 2017, and it was a professional, excellent setup then. It was in Berlin, and I'm glad to be back, so thank you for inviting me back. The story here is 16 years, although, you know, it pretty much started in 2014. And, you know, obviously I'm from a startup company in the finance world. So this is a, you know, Citi Group globally, 229,000 employees spanning 180 countries, with 77 with trading floors, big operation. So it's like any large company, it's difficult to transition into new, new applications that Knime was in 2014, 2015. This is pretty much the footprint globally of Citi Group, of Tier 1 and Tier 1 operations and Tier 2 CSC, or what you would call service centres, city service centres, of which I joined one in Dublin. You can probably hear I'm not Hungarian, but I am based in Budapest. This story is about a story from Dublin to Budapest. Each of these icons that you see is pretty much also a footprint globally of Knime. Again, here we have Citi Group Hungary, quite a large operation in Hungary. 1985, joining 3,000 plus colleagues, 2 offices. One is in a technology office and the other is the finance office in Batchy Street. I am the finance markets credit risk technology site lead, and I also manage the digital transformation team in Budapest. So this team, we do what we do is we do digital transformation of EUCs. That's end user computing. That's, you know, Excel spreadsheets, Python. A lot of developers these days are developing Python on their phones. You know, they're developing. People are much. It's not like the 1980s. People are very skilled, and they want to provide their own solutions where they feel technology, you know, is not providing the solutions. So you have this kind of shadow IT building up, which adds all types of risks and controls issues. So pretty much what we do is we implemented Knime infrastructure. I started off, we'll go into the story in a second, but what we do in the digital transformation team is we do the development, reporting, we do support. Support is a big thing in financial reporting. We do automation, obviously, the EUC remediation, build the infrastructure, and we've remediated thousands of EUCs for the business in a power user model where the business would develop the Knime workflows. We would create the roadmap of remediation by implementing the servers and then managing via the SDLC, the development lifecycle, all the way to remediation into production using change management rules, roles, and policies. Okay? I'll quickly move on. So the inception was really going back to 2014 in Dublin. I was like a snake oil salesman, trying to sell Knime to anybody that would use it, because it was a fantastic tool. We had a lot of, when I came to Berlin in 2017, it was the idea of implementing. We started to use the desktop version. I think it was 2.x, 3.x. It was quite a few versions ago. And we built a proof of concept. We built it on servers in Dublin in conjunction with technology partners. And we launched pilot programs to show the business, to show markets, trade, client operations, you know, how quickly you can automate, you could remediate using Knime. So when I was talking about a startup earlier on, I wasn't joking, because I was going around looking for funding. I was looking for anybody who would pay for, an operation. It didn't work out because we were not in technology. I was in risk and controls. I was trying to produce a proof of concept, and the proof of concept was ultimately rejected by technology because it was outside of technology's domain, which makes sense. But somebody was listening in Budapest. The finance reporting team in Budapest said, we want to use Knime for financial reporting, and can we have that chap there from Dublin to come over and help us implement the server solutions? That's why I ended up in implementing and establishing Knime infrastructure in Budapest around 2020. Then we started to scale. We started part of the digital transformation role in Budapest was also acting as a center of excellence. So we built a server infrastructure. We expanded it. We implemented robust controls. And we implemented new features, new functionalities. Other regions started to want to implement Knime, North America, Latam, Mexico. And we would assist them. This is the roadmap. This is how you do it. This is the documentation. And then it was scaled globally that way. And then we would go and we reviewed the infrastructure and we would say, yes, that's fine. You've met the standards. And now we continue to optimize the infrastructure for performance, efficiency, security, for 2025 and above. Now we're in a position, which is great news. I got it pretty much on St. Patrick's Day, last Monday, that the powers that be in Citi Group have decided to expand the operation, triple it, quadruple it, in Budapest, all Knime, which is fantastic. Here are some of the stats, some of the figures. So in digital transformation, 437 workflows in 2024. Each workflow is not one-to-one. Some workflows have 10 EUCs rolled up into one. But it equates to thousands of workflows, thousands of EUCs remediated, reduced support costs, which is really important. We have reduced security risks because we've removed, or in the process of removing the shadow IT. That's 2 life cycles. The business with the power users would develop a solution, they'd hand it over to us, we would adopt it, own it, take responsibility for it, but we'd have to run it through our own life cycle as well. We wouldn't be developing it, we do some development, but all that's moving over now into where we develop everything. We've removed shadow IT, we've increased our controls environment and reduced risk. Also increasing productivity, which is something I'm extremely interested in. I was talking to Wally, I was talking to Adrian, the AI guys, talking to Michael, and I'm really interested in using AI to help us increase productivity. Just in the interest of time. One of the major things in a big organization like Citigroup is you just can't just implement. You have to have, strong, you could wake up, you could go to bed on a Friday and a black duck scan happens on a Saturday and suddenly you wake up with all sorts of vulnerabilities on the Knime components on the servers and you have to remediate them. You have, otherwise there's, action plans and all sorts of other red lights start flashing that you need to remediate these issues. It's what we constantly work on. Tech mandates with things that you need to have. What are the mandates? SSO, release management, specific data repositories like Bitbucket or Artifactory, cog testing, all of this stuff. It's always an ongoing battle. But the server stability is very, very strong. Server utilization. And last year, after 14 years, okay, talk about St. Patrick's Day last Monday, which was a fantastic achievement to get the funding to expand Knime. But one of the major things that we did last year, in conjunction again with our partners in Knime, was that we got the server version of Knime a recommended tool in Citi Group, which is not an easy feat. We have 23 servers in EMEA, all high resilience, high availability. This is some of the way that we have the server infrastructure set up in a high availability architecture. So you see that each kind of business unit would log on to the server, they'd execute their workflows. So what we have is we removed the old RMI model where you had a single point of failure, where if the server lost contact or communications with the executor, the entire operation would go down. But what we did was we put in a multi-server, multi-executor using RabbitMQ to look for the next available executor and then send the workflow in that direction. And it was a fantastic setup for us. That's what gives us this high availability. We can concentrate on support. Because we've got internal cutoffs and external cutoffs that must be met. Because there's financial risk, reputational risk, all associated with not delivering your financial reporting on time. Here are some of the stats of the heat map of early executions. Obviously, we did it in Knime. And you can see that where we hone in and we concentrate and we use this data to have our support pretty much focused on the hours of greatest danger when most of the workflows are running. If anything goes down, we don't have much time to get it back up again. Okay, we don't use SLAs, they're too long in finance and in other business. We literally have like a fire brigade, support teams. When a workflow goes down, they've literally got an hour to bring it back up. And an awful lot of the issues are not server-related issues. They're actually user-related issues. The users have deleted columns. They've deleted folders. They're great, I love them, but they do a lot of damage, But hopefully when we get rid of all of this shadow IT in the next couple of years, all of that will be gone. We'll be in complete control. Okay, that thing is still running. Okay. So some of the tech mandates that I was talking about, like these dials going from the left, they were all red on the left when we first started in 2020 because it was a brownfield implementation. Nothing there. So we had to build it. And we had to show, we had to prove to the various rules, policies, tech mandates that we were implementing release management, the server monitoring, vulnerability management, audit reviews, everything. And we have a very strong, as I said, robust operation today. Again, the power user model is what I alluded to earlier on. That's, as I said, we're moving away from that. But the challenges are right across, to use the ITIL analogy, or processes, right across people, processes, and technology. As I said, people are sometimes, with the way they delete, they cause their own problems. The processes themselves and the technology, which the technology gives us the least amount of issues or problems. We have to convert a lot of, like, as I said, an awful lot of workflows, we have to review them. We have to review the code. People, as I said, they're developing workflows on the bus or on the train. So it's been, a fantastic journey in that respect. In 2014, I had hair. And quite a lot of it. I used to buy shampoo products and stuff like that. But, this is where it's taken me, and it's been a fantastic journey. And the fantastic journey has been, with Knime, with the professionalism at Knime, and they've supported me all the way, and they still do. I remember Heather. We met Heather in 2017. Is Heather in the room? I can see her. But she remembered when I came in 2017 that I brought a pink laptop I bought from my daughter, or borrowed from my daughter, and I couldn't connect it to anything. Heather helped me out then. Who's the first person I run into here? It took us 14 hours to get here, longer than the Australians from Budapest. But that was fantastic. So a lot of the issues that we've had have been growth issues, been scaling issues, robust controls, looking for funding. Everybody has that problem. But Knime has been a solution that has saved us a huge amount with regard to, persuading senior management in Citigroup that it is a tool that's, albeit not used as a data science tool, we don't use it for data science at all, even though I was in Dublin, I was a data scientist. We use it for ETL operations, a lot of people do. And the future of Knime is looking pretty good in Citigroup. I personally, as a Centre of Excellence, the Centre of Excellence that we lead, I receive a lot of requests from different departments, from audits or from risk, outside of the finance world, who ask us, what can you do for us? And we would set up, usually we would set up a sandbox, let them play around, show how the server works. And, everybody is, very interested until I tell them, you can't really use it in a production environment because, the license doesn't allow it. But I believe that's changing as well. I think there's going to be an opportunity for other businesses to use Knime. One of them, the Institutional Clients Group, which is where I came from in Dublin, a big operation. They're looking into using Knime as well, I believe. You have to see how that pans out. The future as well is like Knime is not the end state for us. It'll take all of these EUCs, it'll reduce the risk, it'll automate manual processes, and we will put those newly developed workflows, hopefully using AI to speed up the process. And what we will do is we will put them into Knime production. So they're core IT, they're remediated. But we will then convert them eventually into strategic applications. These are region-spanning applications using Knime, maybe as an engine. One of the use cases would be maybe to use Knime as an engine behind the strategic application that will do a lot of the ETL processing, do the data aggregation, produce the output, and upload that data into one of the strategic applications. It's one of the use cases. We've done a proof of concept on it, and it works very well. And then, of course, we are moving to Knime Hub. So at the moment, we kind of have to move to Knime Hub. I think everybody has to. But, I'm excited about Knime Hub as well because of the benefits it brings us with containerization, and dynamic allocation of resources, improved controls. Again, you can never stop improving your controls, otherwise you will not survive in the financial world. You just won't survive. You'll get a senior manager who'll turn around and they'll know they just do not want to say, and it's the right attitude. Have you got this process in place that that needs to be in place that improves controls? If not, why not? So I'm always, I can't sleep at night worrying about controls. So that's pretty much it for me. Sorry. I didn't give you a warning. I was just going to end that.
Thank you very much, James. We really appreciate it. If you can move a little bit to the center of the stage, we still have some time for questions and answers. I'm going to see if there's a first hand from... Can we get a microphone here in the front? While we get the microphone there, I found it quite interesting. There was a little bit of an Easter egg of the old logo in there. So if you guys see it. And that attests to the long journey. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you for the presentation. Question, because you have a lot of servers, right? How big is the team that administrates those servers? Not IT that set up the server, but people that upload the workflows or that manage all this stuff?
4 people.
Only?
Only 4 people. We have an architect who helped build it. Did a great job, Shashank Dwivedi, if you're watching this, he set it up with me and Thomas Sabogi and all the guys in Budapest. And then we have, we have RTB, we have the guys who keep the show on the road, run the bank. So these guys keep the show on the road, so every morning, operations meeting, we have a look, these guys give their report, they give their app dynamics report, what the monitoring is saying. We're very proactive with regard to that. It only takes 3 people to do it. The servers and the server software are very robust and never really let us down. Maybe some of the components will go out of date. RabbitMQ suddenly becomes a tool or a component that we need to replace. That causes us headaches. We have to raise caps. Probably take about 6 months, a year to probably replace something like that. Again, Knime Hub solves these problems for us. But all of these problems that we get in answering your question is it takes 3 people to pretty much keep an eye on all of the server. This is just EMEA now. There are much larger teams in North America. We have much more resources, and they have their 20, 30, 40 servers. But just for us, it takes 3 with 1 architect.
And is how you manage with users, so not only consumers, but also that people that manage the workflows, and are they capable to upload those workflows, or you have these 3 people or 4 persons that are the only ones that have access to the server to upload the workflows, or how it works, the deployment of new workflows or updating the workflows?
The model, it's a good question that, because I was kind of alluding to it earlier on. I'm going to make that cameraman follow me. The power user model allowed the users to upload, the data strategy was pretty much NAS servers, NAS shares, where the users would input their input data would go in to the input folders. We would restrict those folders to the business groups, and the data would go in, would be picked up by the Knime workflow, executed, processed, and go to the output folders. Of course, we want to move away from that as well, as much as we can. But at the moment, that strategy works until we get more strategic data solutions. Maybe getting the data directly from strategic data sources. That's how that's the model we currently work with today. When are you talking about how a workflow, when it executes, how we do support? Or does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
And so if something fails, you mentioned that only 0.6%, I guess, it was failing, only the workflows, right, in the server?
Sorry, what was that?
The workflows that you manage in the server that running on a schedule based, just few of those fails. How you manage those failures? So it's getting, or mainly those failures are managed by the power users, or?
No, once we take something into production, it's us. And as I said, it's all changing. We're moving all of the development away from the power user model, all of it over to the technology domain. So even when the users, let's say we're talking about the current model, and I hope I'm answering your question here, because even when the users are running their workflows, they go onto the Knime server, they execute their workflows, and that's it. It's fire and forget. They get their output, and that helps them to prepare the financial reporting. If there's a problem, we literally have. I'm from an organization called, when I first joined Citi Group, called the Business Command Center. Yeah, it's a very military-sounding name. And this command center was like for, incident management on strategic applications that if they go down, is all sorts of reputational, financial, regulatory, terrible damage to Citi Group if some of our major applications went down, some of our major accounting applications, or client-facing applications, anything like that. And this command center, command center, would literally be managing the incident from when it happens till it closes, get people together, get the right people together, and get that workflow back up and running. And that's what we do. Yeah, we don't go with this SLA stuff. You've 3 days to raise an incident. It's too late. You've already missed your internal cutoffs, and you're already in trouble. because of the backlog and stuff like that. So right from, we've implemented Knime really in an industrial scale, but it's not just turning around and implementing the servers. It's not just and say, look, there you go, off you go. We have to build the processes around it, the ITIL processes around it, you know, best practice where we possibly can, and that's what we did.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we have a question on this side as well. Go ahead.
Yes, that's another question that came in online, and that is, how do you handle big data in Citi with Knime? Are there any blockers regarding dealing with the big data?
I'm from a big data team from Dublin, and in Citigroup, big data was anything over the gigabytes. Yeah? So the big data team then, it's a great question, because it brings back memories. Because I went to my boss, well, it was a big data team, and we were looking at transactions. We weren't using Knime. We eventually did start using Knime on that as well. But at that time, Citigroup was, it's like this kind of, I don't know what that graph, this curve of, that, yeah, thank you, Phil. You know, Citigroup with big data climbed that curve of expectation, and then quickly fell down into the trough of disappointment, and then flattened out into the, you know, the actual productive stage. So I think that's where Citigroup are now. I think Citigroup, although I'm not an expert on big data anymore, I don't really stay close to it, but Citigroup has created data lakes, and you know, they have simplified. They're simplifying the bank into such a way that, you know, removing all different solutions, try to simplify it into reduced solutions, you know, that are effective and add value to the bank across different regions, across different technologies. It's quite an operation, but you know, data lakes and you know, strategic data solutions, specific teams dealing with that. So yeah, I'm not really answering the question, but I do know that yeah, there's strategies in place to deal with that. I'm really a Knime guy, you know. So you know, I think that's, yeah. I can. My view of the world is to you know, do what's right with regard to, you know, the controls and the risks that I need to deal with in order to keep Knime, to keep that show on the road in the way, and to keep the business, keep those financial reports going out, yeah, without issue, with as least interruption to the business as much as possible.